So moving into enemy forces, the composition, one enemy rifle squad and one anti-armor team are going to be located on the objective. So you see here we have our anti-armor team and the one regular rifle squad here. This also the squad in reserves is just a normal regular rifle squad as you see here. And just to outline it a little clearer, this white line going through is going to be our company AO, as well as this white line going through. In terms of strength, the enemy has night operation capabilities limited to squad leaders and up. So even though their entire unit might not be nighttime operation capable, some of them are, so it's going to be deemed that all of them are. They have obtained communication equipment, so they are able to effectively communicate with one another by means of radio and so forth. So that will be something to note, that they will be able to adapt quickly to our maneuvers. They do have access to concertina wire and 2 anti-personnel mines. However, their presence is unknown at this time. So watch where you step in, and if you see any obstacles or anything weird, make sure you tell your team leader or up and pass that information forward. They do have direct support, like I mentioned before, from an 82mm mortar team. Due to sustained operations within the AO, they've developed a suspected early warning network. As I mentioned before, the whole area we're operating in is farmland, and there are sympathizers for the SAPA forces. So they've developed a network to communicate that information back to the enemy. So if you do see any civilian personnel, we do have to remain hidden the entire time, or we'll have to detain them so they can't let the enemy know that we're on our way. Moving on to probable courses of action. Enemy forces retains objective screw in order to prevent U.S. forces from controlling the city of Shirvan. And Shirvan is located actually over here to our east, several clicks away, and transitioning control back to the Ethiopian government. So their whole point here is to block Route Charlie so that we can't get through and have freedom of movement onto Route 6. Because that's the main supply line going into Shirvan, all the way over here. The most dangerous courses of action is they block Route Charlie no later than 7:30 in 2019 in order to allow in order to prevent U.S. forces from accessing Route 6. Friendly forces receive fire from enemy 82mm mortar team, or receive fire from the enemy on the objective. So moving on to friendly forces, the mission for battalion is 2nd Battalion 502 Infantry Brigade attacks to destroy enemy elements within the battalion AO no later than April 11th at 07:30/2019 to prevent SAPA forces from consolidating or reorganizing and conducting future operations east of Shirvan. Commander's intent: SAPA is accessed as the primary insurgent force within the battalion AO. By destroying the enemy, 2nd Battalion 502 will be able to control the eastern portion of Shirvan and initiate the transition of control back to the Ethiopian government. So our whole objective of this for the battalion level is to occupy this whole area in order to assist the people in Shirvan and get the power restored back to the government. Some key tasks for the battalion to note: move undetected to assault positions, remove all enemy from our objectives, kill or capture SAPA leaders, and posture defensive following actions on the objective for a counterattack. So moving forward, the company mission for this operation is for us to seize objective tools. And as I mentioned before, objective tools includes objective screw, objective nail, and over here of the other objective that 2nd platoon will be capturing. So it's the entire area as objective tools, and then broken up into 3 different objectives for each platoon. And we want to prevent the enemy from establishing a stronghold and conducting future operations. The purpose of this operation is to advance the forward line of troops, facilitate the control of the route access, and prevent SAPA forces from controlling AO strike. Key tasks: move undetected, remove all enemy, kill or capture leaders, and allow for defensive positions to facilitate later defensive operations. The end state for this: objective tools is seized and clear up obstacles. Sapper forces are destroyed, and all friendly personnel and equipment are accounted for and returned back. So going over the tasks of our adjacent units really briefly, located to our east, 3rd Platoon Alpha Company is working to seize and obtain the objective Nail. And then, like I mentioned before, to our west, Bravo Company is pushing further south in order to reach the city of Shervan and the objectives associated with that AO. Units providing fire support for us, we have attached a mortar team. They're going to provide fire support priority to our platoon, and then to 3rd Platoon, and then finally to 2nd Platoon. 2nd Platoon is located about 3 or 4 clicks over here. But given their capability and effective range of their system, they can easily reach out and assist 2nd Platoon if they were to need it. Some civilian considerations: I've mentioned a few times before, this area, it's a strictly agricultural economy. There are farmers, there are farming equipment throughout the entire AO. Be mindful of that not everyone in the AO is an enemy. I've also mentioned before that there are sympathizers for that, and that we have to work diligently to avoid making contact with any civilians. This is a nighttime operation. There shouldn't be there shouldn't be a ton of people out at night in the fields, but given there could be, so keep your eyes open for that. The Ethiopians will likely continue their path to express more Western social standard as the population becomes more urbanized. However, the effects of the Islamic practices will continue to echo the Ethiopians. So moving on to attachments and detachments. For attachments, like I mentioned before, we have their mortar section attached to us, and their whole purpose is to allow us more freedom of movement and to weaken the enemy forces as much as they can. And we're not going to detaching anyone from our platoon from this. Moving on to mission. So 1st Platoon Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion 502 Infantry Brigade, attacks to seize objective Screw, located here in the vicinity of 18 TWL 755-753, no later than April 11th at 0530 2019, in order to prevent enemy forces from establishing a stronghold. So our entire operation is taking place following these white lines, starting up at the assembly area, crossing through, eventually ending here at objective Screw, where we're going to seize and hold a position. So the intent for this, the purpose of this operation is to advance forward line to facilitate control. We want to control Route Charlie and enable us to control Route 6. Key tasks for this: we want to move undetected to our assault positions, remove all enemy from our objectives, kill or capture sapper leaders, and post for defensive operations for future. The end state for this: objective tools is seized, objective Screw is seized, sapper forces are destroyed, and all friendly personnel returned. Moving on to concept of the operation. The purpose of this operation is to prevent sapper forces from gaining a stronghold on Route Charlie and Highway 6, as well as preventing future attacks in AO strike.